The Mountain View restaurant was the first one that we opened up here. 1987 is when they broke ground. 1988 was when they first opened up. It's a family-owned business, and we bought into it just because we really cared about the restaurant, and we want to see it go further. General manager's position pretty much just takes care of looking over staff, looking over, and that's front of the house, which means servers, bussers, hostesses, front of the house managers. Also back of the house, which means the dishwashers, the cooks, the chefs. So I kind of just watch over all that.
I've been going to Tide House now since the fall of 1988. I probably come here once every month or two. My friends from work and my husband's friends, we hang out here a lot. All of a sudden we discovered the Tide House and just sort of walked right past it and decided to go in for a beer. And since then it's become one of my favorite places to come and hang out.
Worked in the restaurant industry for close to 14 years, almost 15, somewhere around there. Because I was a bartender before here for close to 10 years. I would compare this job to be my favorite by far. It's the atmosphere here is a lot more relaxed. You actually feel appreciated here for your work. It's nice, it's refreshing to come somewhere different, and then everyone here is really easy to get along with. The clientele is really cool, so I mean, it doesn't feel like you're going to work. And then you leave at the end of the day, you don't feel like, oh yeah, I gotta go back to work the next day.
I've worked at Tide House for going on 3 years. I've always been curious about working at a microbrewery, and I always wanted to work at the Tide House when I worked at Mountain View because I wanted to work at a microbrewery, and I've heard a lot about it. It's absolutely my type of environment. It's just really laid back. Come in, have a good time, meet with people, have a couple of beers. Whether it's a celebration, bring the family, bring the dog, it's just a really relaxed environment, so that's what I love about it.
As head brewer, I'm responsible for basically all aspects of beer production. Everything from turning it from the grain into liquid beer, all through fermentation, through filtering, until it hits the glass. I have been brewing here since March of 2011. At the time, we were a much smaller facility, and I was the only brewer here. And I now have a staff of 3 that works under me. I started brewing in my kitchen at my house, home brewing, and that was sort of like an aha, light goes off kind of moment. Even with the very first batch, I sort of immediately became obsessed with it and knew that that's what I wanted to do.
The way I found out about the Tide House is I used to go to a place called the Infirmary. It was on Castro, and when it burned down, I started coming here. And so that was back in the early 90s, so I've been coming here for over 20 years.
I think the best way to experience our beer is to simply, obviously, just come into our restaurant and sit down in a chair, take in the ambiance, ask questions about our beers.
Honestly, my favorite type of beer is usually the one I'm drinking. I'm not overly picky. Well, I appreciate the vast majority of the beer spectrum.
Old Peter's Lager, that's my favorite beer. It's nice and light, very easy to drink, for all day if you wanted to, so it's nice and smooth. The most popular beer that we have here at the Tide House is called our Cascade Amber. That was one of the first 6 beers that we started with. That is by far the most popular.
Depending on the day, I'd probably default as Cascade Amber. I love our Cascade Amber.
I'm not surprised that their Amber Ale is the most popular beer because it's got a nice balance, it's really good with food, and it's also good to drink by itself. The Amber Ale is definitely the one that I like the best.
Our second most popular is our Alpine Gold, and then our most awarded beer is our Ironwood Dark. Those are the top 3.
One of the things I think that's interesting about the Tide House is that in England, back in history, there were free houses and tide houses, and the tide houses were the pubs that were connected to a particular brewer.
So if it's a Tide House, that means we're tied to our own beer. If it's a free house, then we don't have, it's just most bars that are here in America that they can sell whosever beer that they want to.
And so when the Tide House here came, it was very different than any other bar because they served their beer, not everybody else's beer.
When One of my beer buddies, and the one I also volunteered at the library with, passed away. And so we had a big party here for him. There's probably about 150 people here. And the Tight House paid for the whole thing, so that was pretty impressive.
If you have friends or co-workers you want to bring out, this is a really great spot.
The atmosphere, I think, is by far one of the best aspects of it.
It's a very comfortable place. It's very welcoming.
And the whole ambiance and just being inside the restaurant and just enjoying it. I mean, that's what I think Tight House is really about. We
come to celebrate birthdays. We come to the Tight House for work parties. The group wants to go out and have a beer together. We come here. We come for the World Series, football season, big games, and to sit and watch with other fans.
Whether you're a customer or whether you're just like an employee, it's relaxed. Because everyone here gets along with one another, and a lot of the employees here have been here for many, many years. Even the new guys just fit right in, you know, with the guys that have been here for a long time. It's nice. It's just nice to have in a different environment, you know, that's really just laid back. You coming in and get to hang out and talk about beer and hang out with a bunch of good people.
I guess the biggest thing for me, if you want to support smaller, more independent breweries, you should drink the local beer. Absolutely, in California, we're at a point where pretty much every neighborhood has a local brewery. Those are the guys you should support. If you want to put your money in a good place, go down to the local watering hole, and you know, you can usually talk to the guy who made the glass of beer that you're drinking, and that's who I support. That's who I think we should put our money in.
We actually get really excited when people are new and they're like, we've never been here before. We get all excited because we can walk them through everything.
What I'd say to someone that is new or to Tight House would be that don't be afraid to try like new things.
We can offer samples, and to not, just because they may not be a beer drinker does not mean that we don't have a beer for them. We could probably find them something they'd be happy sipping on, comparing with dinner, to give it a shot. And we offer samples. We'd be happy to walk you through the whole process, but don't hesitate to ask questions, and don't hesitate to try new things. This is the biggest situation.
So you'll be surprised what you actually end up liking.